What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, we're going to discuss The Walking Dead, Season 7, how the ratings have been going down. They've steadily been declining little by little each week. We'll get into that, and we'll also talk about the pacing problems and why I think the ratings have been declining the way they have. Okay, so first off, I just want to get into the ratings thing a little bit, because when a lot of people talk about I'm going to be looking down a lot because I wrote some notes this time. Hopefully that means my video isn't going to be so scatterbrained. Let's find out how it worked out. So I'll be looking down a lot, so pardon me until I get the hang of it. I'm learning as I go. All right, so the ratings problem. Now, when most people think about the ratings of any television show, they fail to check out the comparison that those ratings have, compared to other shows. So, they'll look at, The Walking Dead lost 3 million or 4 million viewers last week. But then they fail to look at what their viewership was versus the other shows on cable and networks that are in, the top 10. So, even with the declining of the ratings, The Walking Dead is still the third rated TV show. It varies from 1 to 3, depending on, I guess, what else is on that night. And this whole season has gone between 1 and 3. I think 1 week it sank to 4. But that's in cable shows. And then as far as overall, in all networks and cable and all that goes, they're within the top 6 or 7. So that's still pretty good, even with the ratings drop, right? So this season started out with 17 million. And that was the highest that the show ever had. The only other season that had 17 million was Season 5, Episode 1. So Season 5, Episode 1, Season 7, Episode 1 are the two highest rated Walking Dead episodes in history. So you can't judge the whole season just by those just by those numbers, because that's the first episode, and both of those seasons came off of a cliffhanger. If you remember, Season 4 ended in a cliffhanger, and then everyone tuned in for Season 5 premiere to see how the cliffhanger played out. 17 million, and then it went down. I think it leveled off at the end of the season at about 12 million. This season, same thing, started off at 17. I think it was actually a higher 17.5 or something like that. And right now where we are in episode, where we just finished, 13, we're at 10 million. So yes, it's dropped down quite a bit, 7 million since the premiere. That's a lot of viewers to drop down. But 10 million viewers is still on par with being one of the top rated shows. So, yes, ratings have gone down every season. They go down, they go up, they go down. They fluctuate because of the nature of the Walking Dead storytelling. Season 4, 5, and 6 have been a mismatch. Season 1 was steady pretty much all the way through. Season 2 went up as the season went. Season 3 went up as the season went. And then they lost some viewers for Season 4, etc., right? And then it was choppy. Some episodes would be really good. Some would be just okay. But okay for The Walking Dead is still higher rated than 90% of the shows out there. If you don't believe me, look it up yourself. Go the Nielsen, I think, website lets you go back a couple of months to see what it was, weeks ago or whatever. Check it out if you don't believe me. Their ratings are still at golden. Are they as good as they could be? No. But it's the nature of the way they tell the story. So, about 10.4 million is where they're at right now. And, like I said, they're still within the top 6 or 7 highest rated shows in all of television. I'm not talking about just cable. I'm not talking about versus networks. I'm talking about versus them all. Okay? And just to throw this out there, a little bonus note: the Talking Dead is usually pretty high rated too. It's in the top 10 for cable shows anyway. I don't think it falls on the top 10 of overall network and cable, but in cable shows it falls in the top 10 almost every week. So not only does The Walking Dead do very, very well, but a talk show talking about the episode you just watched also makes it. So that should let you know that even though ratings are declining, it's not really hurting the show. So anyone worried about it hurting the show, making the show go away or get cut short, you don't got to worry about that, at least not yet. And I guarantee you, as we get back into the more exciting stuff, not so much the character and story exposition there, and we start getting back into the action and the stuff that a lot of the fans want to see, those ratings will go back up. I can guarantee you. Right now we're at about 10.4. The next 3 episodes. By the end of this season, I bet you we're up to about 12, 13. Yeah. The show started from 5 million. Then it had ups and downs. 5 million viewers, ups and downs. And now we're at about 10 million in season 7. We're still 5 million viewers improved from season 1. Okay? Yeah, so I predict that we're going to get to 12 million, 13 million viewers by the end of it. Maybe not on average, but by the last episode, we'll be rated around there. I'll say about 12 million. Okay? Right, I already said the highest rated episodes was season 5-1 and season 7-1, ending in cliffhangers. Now, this season, I don't believe will end in the typical cliffhanger. I think it will end, I'll get to this, in my predictions for later, but I think it's going to end on not necessarily a cliffhanger, yes, or what's going to happen next, but all the seasons end on a what's going to happen next. I think it's going to have an ending like how season 5 had an ending with Rick killing Pete, spoiler alert, and then Morgan showing up. Still a cliffhanger, like, oh, how's Morgan going to react to this? How's the community going to react to Rick killing Pete? Still sort of a cliffhanger on the story perspective, but not a cliffhanger as far as a scene gets cut, like it was for season 4 finale and season 6 finale. So next season, I don't expect 17 million, because we're not going to have that type of cliffhanger, I don't think. Well, I think we will by the end of 8. Oh, yeah, I think we're going to have a huge cliffhanger. I'll get to that in a much later video. But I think we're going to have a huge cliffhanger at the end of season 8, which will spike viewers again for season 9, and so on and so forth. This is how The Walking Dead tells its story. Now, that brings me into the pacing. So, there's always ups and downs in The Walking Dead. Look at all the seasons. Season 1 is pretty much steady. There's not too much downs on season 1. It's pretty much all ups. Right? Season 2, you had mixed. There's a little up, there's a little down. More down than up. More slow than fast in season 2. But it still had a bit of a mix. Season 3 also was very slow at points. It dragged on in like the middle. But then, the beginning, the end, it was much more exciting. And the middle. The beginning, the middle, and the end. The very beginning, the mid-season finale, and then the ending of the season were all pretty good as far as keeping us excited. There was a couple of other episodes in between, but also had more of those slower episodes. Then Scott Gimple took over in season 4, and he has a different approach to the storytelling. He kind of goes for a half season of exhibition, character development, story, a little bit slower, and then the next half of the season picks up. And it's usually a lot more fast-paced, a lot more tension-filled, and a lot more action. They did it in season 4. They did it in season 5. Season 6 was pretty exciting all the way through, which surprised me. It did have its lulls here and there, but for the most part, the majority of the way the season played out, season 6, was pretty fast-paced. And now this season, the majority of the way the season played out is pretty slow-paced. Now, I understand why season 6 was the way it was. We had to deal with No Way Out, which is an exciting storyline. And we had to deal with the introduction of the Saviors, which the way the show did it, better than the comic in my opinion, had us deal with more action, more us versus the saviors, us taking out more of the saviors, our group. So it was more action packed. It was more like, oh yeah, I'm loving this shit, with a slow episode here and there for season 6. And then season 7, it's all about dealing with the aftermath and learning how to deal with Negan, and then learning how to continue and grow and get the whole team around the whole Negan thing. And that's just the way it needed to play out. It needed to play out slower. By just nature, the way the story is going, it needed to play out slower. That's it. So, I'm sorry about that. My son's calling me from the intercom. I gotta cut this video short. Sorry about that. Yeah, so it played out a lot slower, but for a reason. Now when we get to season 8, when we get to the war, everything is gonna mean more to you. Don't you think that if we got to Negan much sooner, like in season 4, do you think Glenn and Abraham's death would have meant as much? Or was it because we had all those seasons developed of these storylines? That's why. It's because we had all those seasons to develop those characters. So when you got to 7-1 and Glenn and Abraham died, it was some of the best stuff you've seen emotionally. It really hit hard. Just like most of the deaths. The characters are around long enough for you to love them and to appreciate them. So, the pacing, don't worry about it. It's just for this season. These next 3 episodes, I'll put my guarantee on it. Do I know it's going to happen? Absolutely not. But I bet you these next 3 episodes will be the most exciting episodes of the season. They'll have the most action, and they'll definitely, without a doubt, be the best episodes of the season, other than the first episode. I guarantee these next 3 episodes. I would put money on it if you guys had wanted to bet, and if I had spare money to throw around. Yeah, so look, for a week-to-week show, sorry man, for the week-to-week show, yes, this episode, this season, and some of the other seasons are kind of weak for a week-to-week. You know, because, I got to wait. This episode was slow. Now I got to wait next week. And that one might be slow. And so on and so forth. On the binge, just like some of the other slow points of the other seasons, when you rewatch it, it's not going to feel that way. It's not going to feel as slow. It's not going to feel as dragged out. And it won't feel as anticlimactic. When is something going to happen? I guarantee you, when you rewatch season 7, it's not going to come across that way. And that's what hurts the ratings. People don't have the patience for that week to week. In a binge, on a Netflix, on any other streaming, or on when they get it on Blu-ray, or even on DVR, they have the luxury of watching as many as they want in a row until they get tired of it, or say they just had enough for that day. So the way The Walking Dead, Scott Gimple anyway, his half of The Walking Dead, it lends better to binge watching. So if you fight through it week to week, and then give it a second chance on binge, I bet you have a better opinion of it. Now, next season, I think is going to be super fast-paced. Even more so than season 6. I believe season 8 will be the most fast-paced as a complete season than any other season The Walking Dead has had. So I don't think you guys really have to worry. It's not a pacing problem. It's the way they're telling the story. Bear with it. The ratings are going to come back. Once they pick up the action, all those people who have low attention spans or aren't hardcore fans or don't care about the characters, once they hear and see that there's much more action and much more interesting stuff going on as far as story goes, then they're going to tune in. When it's just about characters, we're always going to lose because some people don't get it. They don't get that the only reason that those action set pieces have an emotional punch is because of all the character development that they had. So don't worry. The ratings are not a problem. We're still top-rated show. The pacing, it may feel like a problem. It won't in retrospect, and it won't feel like it going into the next season. I can pretty much guarantee you that. If you feel I'm wrong, you disagree, you got anything else you want to say, chime in down below. You want to be part of the Screen Fiend fam? By all means, subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. And the good, the bad, the ugly. Anything you got to say, chime in down below, please. Even if it's constructive criticism, tips on how I can get better, things you want to see, things you want to see me do, things you want to see me stop doing. Anything at all. Let me know. I want to hear it. I really do care. All right, that's it for this video. You guys have a good night. Let me get to little man. I don't know what he was calling me about. Probably something silly. But that's it, and I will see you next time.